I'm gonna show you how I water and fertilize the plants. So come along and let's look at some stuff. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Horticulture Geek. I'm Ray, and thank you so much for joining me today here in the garden. It is bright and sunny, so I'm taking advantage of some shade here in the garage for just a minute before we get out into the garden. And I also have had people ask me in recent videos, hey Ray, how do you water all your stuff? What do you do? So I thought I'd walk you through that. And I have to tell you, it's a lot of manual hand watering, but I'm also going to be fertilizing today because it's actually Sunday here for me, and Sunday is when I do my fertilizing. Annuals, hanging baskets, pots, and planters all need weekly fertilizer. In order for them to be successful and be abundant and give you that color you're looking for, you have to keep on your fertilizing. So for me, it's just easy for me to always remember Sunday is my day, and I get them all fertilized on Sundays. So we'll look at all that as well. So let's start off this video. We'll go inside to the kitchen. I'll show you what I use, and we'll mix it up. Here we go. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen. And now I know that there are people out there who have all kinds of different opinions about this product or that product, and you shouldn't use this and you shouldn't use that. So no matter who you are or what you believe, just know I respect all those opinions. But for me, I'm working on a budget with my garden. I do not want to spend exorbitant amounts of money on things. So I choose to go a good quality, economical route, which means I'm doing synthetic, water-soluble, weekly fertilizers. There are organics out there you can get. Proven Winners has an awesome line of water-soluble out there you can get. But I can't get access to that locally. The only way I could get the Proven Winners water-soluble would be to order it online, which then you add shipping costs. And so it just makes it really expensive. So I, here at the Horticulture Geek Gardens, use Miracle-Gro. I know some of you may not like it, but that's what I do. So if you don't like it, don't use it. But if you're just looking for a good, all-purpose plant food, then this is a really good one. It's been around for years, and it works. So I do use the all-purpose water-soluble, and it's really easy to use. It comes with a measuring spoon. And now I do this a little differently because a lot of people, what they will do is use a watering can. And I have watering cans, and there are really good uses for watering cans. But with the amount of containers and pots and things that I have, it takes me hours to use a watering can because I constantly have to come and fill it up, mix, run, come back, mix, fill it up, and run out. And so I have just come up with my own little system that works for me. And so I have just a regular water pitcher here. And to this water pitcher, I put 5 scoops of the fertilizer. And so I've already done that here, as you can see. And then I dissolve it with hot water. So we want to use hot water, obviously, so that those crystals will dissolve. Okay, so I've used hot water, and I had that wooden spoon. I stirred it up. So now this is a super concentrated fertilizer here. So what am I going to do with this now? Because I can't put this directly on the plants. So it's just too much, right? So what I do is this now goes into a huge bucket, like a big 5-gallon bucket. So come with me, and let's go out here and let's look at that. All right, so here we are. I've got my bucket and I've got my water. Come here. So come here and look at this with me. So I've already got the bucket filled with water, just right out of the hose pipe. And so all I am going to do, get that right in there, and then I just use a PVC pipe remnant, give it a good stir. All right, so again, I apologize for the sun. It's bright out here. So now I have this empty bucket, right? So now all I'm gonna do is use this. So now this is diluted to the right strength. And so now I can come around and I can fertilize all of my pots and planters and stuff. So let's get on to doing that. All right, so here I have a couple of planters, and I just chose a couple that are currently in the shade just for filming purposes here. But I've got this little pot right up here on the side table that has the, I've got the yellow calibrachoa in there. So, I mean, honestly, it's just as simple as that now. Just pouring in a little fertilizer, and that one's done. And then I've got this big pot here that has the firecracker plant in it. It has an asparagus fern and a sweet potato vine. So the asparagus fern doesn't need fertilizer, but the firecracker does. So then we're just gonna pour a little fertilizer off into him. And then like right here, I've got a thyme plant in the fairy garden pot, and I have the chenille plant. So we'll give the chenille plant some fertilizer. So as you can see, now all I've got to do, now that this bucket is empty, all I have to do is run to my big pot, do a dip, and run around the yard. And so those of you that have watched my channel for a while, you know that I have a lot of containers. So having that big bucket here on the patio is so much easier to me than hauling my water can back and forth to the kitchen, back and forth to the kitchen. So it's not the prettiest setup, but it works and it's efficient for me here at the garden. So I'm gonna continue on fertilizing my pots for today. And there's no reason I don't think to drag you guys around for that, because once you've seen one pot fertilized, you've seen every pot fertilized. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, so I just got through fertilizing the backyard, and I went through 3 of the 5-gallon buckets. So 15 gallons, give or take. Ooh, shaky hand there, sorry. 15 gallons of liquid soluble fertilizer to do all of the annuals and baskets and hanging baskets and planters just in the backyard. And I will go through another 5-gallon bucket in the front yard as well. But I wanted to talk a little bit also about how I water the garden on a normal day. So on a normal day, every single day, all those baskets, pots, and planters, I hand water every day. I currently do not have them set up on my sprinkler system. And you can see my sprinkler system right there, which is why I'm standing here in this weird shot at the garage. Now, all of my in-ground plants, for the most part, are on my sprinkler system. There's a few areas in the garden that just don't get good coverage, but since I'm dragging a hose out there anyway, I hand water those every day as well. And it takes me anywhere, about 45 minutes to an hour every day. And I water some baskets every morning before I go to work, and then I have to water everything in the evening when I get home from work. Because some of the things, like the big hanging baskets on either side of the swing arbor, require 2 waterings a day. And the self-watering pots on the fence, which I'm going to give you an update on here in a minute, require 2 waterings a day. So I fill those with water twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. Now, I do stay very consistent. Sorry, it's hot out here, guys. I'm sweating. I do stay very consistent on my watering in terms of time. And if you don't do that, please do it. That is a huge tip that I can give you right there. And for me, I work it around going to work. So those baskets in the morning that I know I have to water, I hit those about 7:30 in the morning before I tear off out of here on the way to work. And then when I get home in the afternoons and get out of my work clothes and get changed, it's about 5:30 every afternoon when I water the rest of the garden by hand. And I have my sprinkler system set to come on every morning. It comes on for the back garden, it comes on automatically at 6 a.m. and then in the evening it comes on at 6 p.m. So I have that evenly spaced, and it happens every day at the same time, and the plants really do benefit from it. What you'll find is that if you willy-nilly water your plants, like 3 o'clock today and 7 o'clock tomorrow and 1 o'clock the next day, you're having such long hours intervals between waterings, the plants can't survive it. So you really want to stick to a routine when you water. That way your plants can become adjusted to the intervals in between those waterings, and it will help them sustain better. And it will give them regular waterings, because if you watered at 1 o'clock today and then didn't water until 9 o'clock the next day, I mean, that's a very, very long time for plants to go without water. But if I watered at 1 o'clock today and 1 o'clock tomorrow, that's only at 12-hour gap or 24-hour gap that they're going to have to wait, right? So hopefully that makes sense to you. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Overall point of the story is, if you can, stick to a schedule. Now, the sprinkler system. I'm using a Rainbird in-ground sprinkler system. I currently have traditional sprinkler heads that pop up out of the ground. As a matter of fact, I think I have one right here. So this is what the casing looks like under the ground. And you know, it just pops up like that. Just a traditional sprinkler in the ground. This fall, because I've actually just upgraded the sprinkler system. When we purchased this garden, the sprinkler system was here, and this was my sprinkler control. Now, these are really good sprinkler controls if they work, because they're just good sound things. That's why a lot of older homes, if you see these, a lot of people are like, that's not digital. Who cares? Non-digital is still fine. This worked great for many years. Unfortunately, it messed up on me. It seized up. I could no longer adjust some of the dials, so it was time for an upgrade for me. And so I went digital, and I went with another Rainbird. Obviously, I wanted to stay compatible, and so I just went with the irrigation timer from Rainbird, a standard model. I did DIY this switch out along with my dad. He was here helping me. And it really was not complicated. So if you have an old box like this, what happens is every different zone in your yard has a node. And that node, or the brain of that zone, is wired in to this box. And in this old box, for me, all of those wires to all the nodes were uniformly tied together on a plug. And that plug just plugged right into the brains of the timer box. Now, with the new one, it does not have a central plug brain. It has an individual wire brain. And here, let me flip the camera around and we can show you that. So you can see these are my zone wires. So each wire, each color, coordinates with a zone node out in the yard. So what I had to do to switch from this guy to this guy was cut that central node, that central plug-in off. And let's see. Yeah, here it is right here. So this is what it was. So every zone came into this central line here, and it plugged in right there to the brains of the timer, right? But as you can see here, there is not one of these. So all we had to do was cut those zones off and then hardwire them in to the new timer box. And you can see this timer box that I have here will accommodate up to 9 zones. I only have 5 in my yard, so the rest are just blank. Now what you have to do in this situation is you have to know which color controls each zone. And if you don't know that beforehand, like I didn't, because when it came to this plug here, it wasn't individually labeled, right? It was just all in a jumble there. So what I had to do was I literally just plugged the wires in and turned the system on, and I ran around the yard to see what sprinklers were popping up. And then I knew what color controlled each zone. And then I could arrange the colors in the pattern that I wanted. So for me, the orange is my backyard garden, and I wanted it first. The green is my flower beds around the house. I wanted it second. The blue is the island or in my driveway. The yellow was my front yard and brown is my side yard grass. So now that I knew that, I could plug them into that pattern and then I could set my timers for each zone individually. So that's how I get most of my garden watered, a combination of this and hand watering. Now this fall, I am going to be trying to do another sprinkler upgrade, and hopefully I will bring you guys along for that process, where I'm going to be pulling out the traditional sprinkler heads and I am going to be running irrigation tubing along my bed so that I can get full coverage, and then I can also tap into that to put all of my pots, baskets, and planters on drip irrigation as well. So I've already started buying supplies for that, and this fall we will be working on it. All right, guys, this video has gone on way longer than I had intended it to be. I thought I'd come out here and do a quick video today, and it turned out to be an all-day event with me going back and forth and showing you different things and talking. If you have been following me for a while now, you know that I can be a talker. So hope that doesn't offend anybody. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the updates, seeing how I water and fertilize and take care of my garden. Maybe that'll help you in some way. I think the most important thing to remember is you have to do what works for you. So like, I absolutely love watching big gardening YouTube channels like Garden Answer, The Impatient Gardener, Roots and Refuge. You know, there are all these channels out there that we all love watching, but what they do in their yards doesn't work for me. Well, one thing, like Laura at Garden Answer lives in Ontario, Oregon in high desert, but she doesn't have any humidity. And then Erin at The Impatient Gardener lives in the north, was it Michigan? I think she lives right on one of the Great Lakes. So her requirements for her yard are completely different than my requirements for my garden. So you do what works for you. And when it comes to watering, consistency is key. And all of those channels will tell you that. Consistency is the key. So make sure you keep on a good schedule, keep your plants happy, fertilize them regularly, and keep them healthy and keep them strong. And then, hey, just enjoy your garden. And I think that's wrapping it up for us today. Check us out at our Facebook page if you haven't done that yet. It's the same name, Horticulture Geek. And if for some reason you haven't subscribed to us here on the YouTube channel, hey, I would love for you to do that. Our subscriber count is growing recently, so if you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you joining along. Don't forget to check out some of our older videos. Maybe there's something out there that you might need to know or might inspire you to do something in your garden. But until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. And from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.